Today we get to the bottom of who the real entitled parent is. We'll get into that in a bit, but first, quit on babysitter because of fight and being ripped off. I, 27, babysat a woman's, 39, in my neighborhood's kid for 3 months, including overnight, and collectively made $200 after everything after agreeing to $100 a week. She brought him over an hour to 2 hours early every day and would be an hour to 3 hours late and try to start a fight with me when I told her to compensate me for the extra 2 to 5 hours of work. And she told me that she shouldn't have to because, I hitchhiked to work. Turns out she actually had a ride most of the time and was leaving early to smoke meth. I also found out that she was giving her 3-year-old son coffee before bringing him to me so he'd crash by the time she got him, and would give him things to make him horrifically crap himself at my house so he'd be cleaned out when she had him. He could speak a total of 1 word, which was no, because at home she kept him in a single room with a phone, unsupervised, and tried to convince me it was my job to teach him how to speak. I had to teach him literally every ounce of discipline a kid should know, such as not to play with hedge clippers or run full speed into traffic, which she took credit for. She constantly forgot to bring him food or drinks, and then admitted she wanted me to supply that because daycares do it. My family did Easter around him and we cooked for her and got him gifts, candy, and his own Easter egg hunt. And we bought him a pool and I picked freaking rose petals to put in his water and she complained about both. I canceled on her once because my sibling was mentioning ending things not long after an actual attempt, and her only response was, "Well, because of you, I now have to call out of work." And I tore into her butt over that. But me quitting on her happened after she blamed me for ruining her son's birthday because I had an emergency and had to leave. Forgot his food and then flipped out at me when I got mad about it, then tried to ask other people to watch him who live with me because she didn't trust that I wouldn't hurt her son, which freaking hurt because I love kids. They said no because she's shady as freak and moved from another state to date some guy in prison and is living in a shack with no AC with that kid. So a month later, she calls me begging me to babysit again this week, and I said no because it's me and my fiance's 6-year anniversary, and I hung up and blocked her number. Honestly, someone needs to take her kid away from her, though her delusional butt will swear up and down she knows how to raise kids. Edit, scratch all the below. I'm not playing a pity party, but I grew up in conditions that were far worse than these, and I got tortured and starved and didn't go to school past 8th grade. She isn't violent and he is fed at home, so it didn't click with me how detrimental his surroundings were because of my experiences. I just generally knew they were bad and she was selfish. My family generally just saw her as a nuisance and nobody seemed concerned, and that rubbed off on me. After seeing everyone's severe reaction, it's got me thinking this is more than just bad parenting. I really do care about him, and I thought foster care was going to hurt him worse. But I am going to call someone. I'm very scared to do so, but I want to. What do I do? Can someone tell me good things that have happened in foster care? Another update. After a lot of thinking and discussing things with the most decent people I know, who I trust to be brutally honest with me and have shown to be right consistently, I'm going to contact the grandfather. I found out the mother is hiding a lot from him, and he's already suspicious about the kid's situation, and that's why he's popped up unexpectedly from the home state. I found someone in the neighborhood who knows her and where he is. I just think overall, although you might be scared of a kid going into the system and not having a very good environment through that, I think it's better to take that chance than leave them with somebody who isn't just abusive but is stunting their lifelong development in one of the most important times of their life. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you can't get enough of hearing about these entitled parents, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is, how do I deal with parents always plus wanting myself and partner? Recently, my father came up with my little brother for a visit, and with my birthday around the corner, July 10th, we went out for lunch. My father was nice enough to pay for it all, and things were civil for now. The story goes, I was earlier in the week talking one-on-one with my mother privately via phone. We were talking about life and stuff, and I'd mentioned going to the dentist, having my teeth looked at as I've been experiencing some pain and swelling. Mentioned I needed a tooth pulled, which brought up the whole, how are you going to pay for it conversation, which, not to deep dive into it too much, my partner is quitting his current job due to stress and the people he had to deal with. Surprisingly, bank customers are a lot worse than other jobs have to offer. It is a whole new story when money or large amounts of money is involved, and you live in a smaller sized town with too many crack and meth heads. Just a couple of months ago, a crackhead went into the bank my partner is now quitting, screaming he's a millionaire, spouting threats and the whole works. 1. He did this every 4 months or so, and 2. Unless he did something they couldn't call the police on him. Anyways, insurance came up into talk, and I was able to use the last of the insurance to pay for the checkup basically, going from 158 Canadian dollars to about 38 Canadian dollars out of pocket. All I said to my mother was, I'm not sure if his insurance will last us this long, without mentioning anything about quitting jobs, moving jobs, leaving jobs, looking for new jobs, or anything of the sort. Back to dinner. As we were waiting for food, my father mentioned, "So I heard your partner is quitting," which I replied, "And who told you that?" Which was responded, "Well, your mom said something about you not having insurance anymore," to which I said, "I mentioned our insurance covered us this time, but if you must know, yeah, he's finding a new job that doesn't get him so worked up in the morning that he spends roughly 9 to 10 minutes in the bathroom each morning puking. And here comes the fun part." My dad replied with, "I used to puke all the time before my job, but that never stopped me," along with all the excuses of being a real man, how men are not strong enough now, and some other crap that I mostly refuse to take note of and reply to. My question is, how do I stop stupid crap like this? I think both of my parents may be entitled in their own way, and I'm not sure if this is more prodding our business than entitlement. But I know what is for certain, and that I'm tired of myself and my partner always getting turned onto the back burner with answers like, "Well, in my day," or "It's a lot easier now" type of crap. One small note or detail to take down. I knew my partner all of the end of May 2022, met online, met June 11th or 12th, he left by July. And by the end of July, my dad kicked me out for not doing the laundry fast enough. Not that I wasn't doing it, just that I wasn't doing it faster. I was working online to get money to pay the rent I pay to live with them, and not a week later I was kicked out. He also destroyed the flowers I got from my boyfriend when he came to visit, and nearly broke my PC monitor by smashing it onto the back of my desk. He also threatened to call the police on my boyfriend for a LMFAO text and threatened to kill him, but because it was his word against ours, while explaining to my mother what happened, she didn't believe me because he would never say that. He's a good man, husband, and father. He provides for his kids. And my favorite, well, if it wasn't a text, then it couldn't have happened. You're just making stuff up in the moment or thought you heard something else. So my question is, 1. Is this entitlement? 2. What should I say or do? 3. How can I stop them from telling each other crap that is supposed to be private or making it a bigger deal? 4. How to get them to stop one-upping myself and my partner all the dang time about almost everything. Thanks in advance and for reading. Honestly, I don't know if you're going to be able to put a stop to it or fix it. I mean, it sounds like these people got those kinds of behaviors along for the lifelong ride. I would suggest putting your boundaries up. If they don't respect that, I think the go-to usually is to go lower contact or leave them behind if you can. Our next story is, did anyone else's parents collect rent, food, utilities, and the rest of your money because you owed her for emotional damages? Or do I have an entitled mother? Okay, for a bit of backstory, I was in foster care for 15 years until they tried to reintegrate me back in with my mom, and she had me back periodically before losing me again, and it kept going for the first 5 years of my life, until just before my 6th birthday. They removed me permanently and the government relinquished custody until I was legally an adult. I bounced around the foster system until my maternal auntie, so my mom's sister, took me in and cared for me. I had some unresolved trauma resurface around 12 and also suffered from an eating disorder around the same time and was then hospitalized for 3 years. And after just being released from psychiatric care, there was an incident and I spiraled yet again. And when in the hospital, they said they couldn't let me return. It was affecting their images, etc. They were rich who took me in to look good in their circles and I was their charity case. State decided to reintegrate me back to live with my mom since they had nowhere else to place me. So now I was living with my mom, and as soon as I got there, She told me I had to get a job, and since I was living there and I was increasing bills and living costs immensely, and I was old enough to pay my way in the world, me being naive and desperately wanting my mother's love deemed it a reasonable request, and got a job at the local clothing department store, and it fit around my schedule with school. I already had a bank account and everything that I had for years since. I got an allowance from the government for being in care and studying. However, my mom made me on a new account that she was able to gain access to, and any future payments I wished to receive to go into this account. After my first paycheck, I went to transfer the money to my mom and then transfer the rest to my savings for if I wanted to do something or for a coffee, etc., only to find nothing in the account, only to see a $0 balance. I was working 2 weekends as well as 3 afternoons, and the government allowance, since I was in school, more of an incentive payment, earning $620 a week in total. Plus, the state was paying her the same as if she were a foster carer, so I, to say the least, was shocked to see an empty account. And I was surprised that she didn't even mention that she had transferred it. So when I asked her where all the money was, she said that she had transferred it like she said for her expenses. And I asked where the rest of it is. She said it was for emotional damage caused by her losing me and that I owed her back pay for the years I spent in care. I was also expected to cook 3 to 4 meals a week, do all the dishes after, and wash and fold and put away laundry, vacuum the house, grocery shopping, and tutor my brother and make sure he did homework, and also keep on top of my schoolwork and maintain my grades. Since she wasn't expecting me, she lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with my half-brother in the middle of nowhere, and I had no room or bed. I had to sleep on the floor. So to help, the state paid to help her get a place that was in a more secure location and paid for the entire move and furniture, etc. This was like 3 months after I moved in with her. Same as before, she said I had a week to get a job and the drill was the same. Now I had a lawn to mow every week. The walk to school was now 35 minutes long, and the shops were a 30-minute walk in the opposite direction. I had to carry the groceries the whole way since my mom didn't drive or have a car. After settling in, even though not happy about having no money to spend as a 15-year-old, it was going well. I had friends and everything. Then one time my caseworker came to check, and they said that they were going to start decreasing the payment amount to my mom. She was ticked. And less than a month later, I was kicked out because I couldn't benefit her anymore, and I was kicked out with nothing. It was all hers now. So with the clothes on my back, luckily had my phone, but homeless, living in a homeless youth hostel, and had to drop out of school because I wasn't able to do my assignments and I lost all my books. I was let go from work during this period because I was going through a rough episode that was affecting the business. She never told the caseworker, and it wasn't until I had to call her about a week later, since she never called me. Normally she's there within 24 hours, but yeah. Anyone else had their money taken as teens? Is this even legal? My mom's entitlement is astounding. My entire family's really. This is just one example. I have so many other things I could add, but this one was on my mind for a while, and was like, screw it, let's ask Reddit. I think honestly, while it might be a bit of an uphill climb to get all the proof that you need to show what she did, I think OP should go the legal route and try to get that money back. I wouldn't think it would be too out of the question to maybe even find somebody that goes pro bono on a case like this, considering where you've ended up and what your mom did to you. This next story is, what's something completely insane your parents did that you only understood how messed up it is when you became older? My mom wouldn't allow me to dress myself until I was a senior in high school. Every time I tried to choose my own shirt or pants, she would tell me to go put something else on, then repeat it, and then start an argument where I would just get emotionally exhausted or start to feel guilty for disobeying my mom and go put on what she wanted, all the way until senior year of high school. I'm 25 now and never understood just how emasculating that was and how low it would make me feel. I think it's pretty crazy to imagine being a senior in high school and your mom still wanting to force picking your outfit for you. I mean, I don't mind asking for input on like if what I'm wearing looks good or seems reasonable, but I don't want to be 16, 17, 18 years old and still having my mom dress me. Obviously, it wasn't OP's choice. It's just crazy that they wouldn't have the self-awareness to, allow their kid to be them. This next story is, I'm starting to really dislike children. Kind of my family's fault. I, 23-year-old female, currently live in a household where my youngest siblings are all under 10 years old, and when my mom decides that she can't be bothered with them and she doesn't want to bother my older sibling, it becomes my task to watch them, sometimes all day. It has occasionally lasted from the moment that they woke up at 7:30 in the morning to the moment that the youngest of them decided to stop being a monkey at midnight. Sure, those long days are few and far between now, but that's only because they're old enough to be slightly self-sufficient now, and I have a full-time job, and originally 4 to 6 online college courses. Sure, I was also allowed to bring my art tablet, Switch, or school computer down to use while I watch over the small ones, but I often got next to nothing done with them all deciding to be hungry at different times, having to be pried off of furniture or each other, and sometimes desperately needing to pee, but having waited way too long and needing me to carry them, lest they soil themselves the second time that they take a step. In addition to not really having any me time, especially when I was temporarily jobless and had no excuse not to look after them, I also started doing kind of poorly in classes, and considering the fact that a lot of that money was coming out of my pocket and not just loans, it was particularly frustrating. Now, I've been overlooked entirely. My parents can't find the time to help me with financial aid info anymore, and as a result, I can't get any loans for school or anything. I genuinely cannot afford to go, even though I now have the vaguest idea of what I might try to do with my life. A small detail that I feel the need to add here, as it's still important but not nearly as story-driven as the rest of it, is that I suspect that I have ADHD. Not an entire list of symptoms, but I rock myself or tap and shake when I'm stressed. I've ground my teeth to the point of damaging them. The sounds of eating, screaming children, or the random loud noises from jumping off of furniture genuinely cause me rage and discomfort. And sometimes I'm simply in another world for a few moments without having realized that I ever left. And in that short amount of time, there is suddenly a tiny human attempting to scale the refrigerator like it's Mount Everest. I don't feel that I should be responsible for children, especially now that my mild annoyance by their presence has the potential to devolve into near hatred. Even seeing children that are not connected to me in random social settings causes me irritation and disgust, even when they're being perfectly fine. I think the only instance of children that doesn't bother me at the moment is babies. They're small, misshapen humans that just vibe. And when they're not screaming their tiny heads off, I can kind of respect that. Still, the idea of cooking one up in my stomach seems like a when pigs fly in a frozen over heck situation. Of course, my family hates that about me though. The child didn't do anything to you. This specific child didn't have to, they're just annoying to me. But you were a child once. Cool, thanks for the reminder. We took care of you just like that when you were that age and had to clean your little butt. Didn't ask you to do that, but thanks. Leave my butt out of this. But in our religion, it says that you act like infertile people don't exist. So you're going to deny your parents the chance at grandchildren? Yeah, pretty much. Get grandchildren from one of the million other kids you produced. Your emotions don't matter now. You'll change your mind when you're older. Your body will remind you. Yeah, but the crippling pains and the fits of vomiting that I experience almost monthly don't exactly instill confidence. I could literally die on the table. God will protect you, and if you die, it'll just be a part of his plan. Okay, cool. Not dying for a child that I can already tell I won't like. See, there's this conversation, but also the idea that I don't even have a significant other yet. Moreover, though I'll likely never tell them, I'm pretty sure I'm bisexual, though I feel myself leaning more towards women some days. Any child that I did have either wouldn't be biologically mine, or would be shunned and mistreated by them for potentially having two mommies. Or both. It's all so frustrating. I don't like kids. I don't want kids. It's partially their fault for not raising their youngest properly and instead shoving them onto me. Can we all just please move on to a new argument? If you've reached the end either by reading it or just scrolling, thank you. Sometimes my family really says or does things that I can't just move on from. And this overused argument about babies and childcare when they barely do the latter bit themselves is just tiresome. I definitely feel bad for the people who are very aware and often very comfortable with the fact that they don't want kids or they don't like kids, and all of a sudden they get this pressure put on them by people who, for some reason have their own grandparent biological clock going saying, "Come on, make a baby, come on." It all especially makes even less sense when OP points out situations like they don't even have a partner to begin with. Our next story is, my parents want me to break up with my boyfriend as they think he's disrespectful and manipulative and not a good fit. What do I do? I, female 24, have been dating my boyfriend, male 27, for around a year and a half now, and he'd been introduced to my parents 2 months into dating. I moved in with him 5 months into dating, so have been living together for a year now. Moving in together introduced no issues into our relationship and has been an amazing year. For context also, we live in London. My family moved here when I was a baby. I'm Indian and my boyfriend is Fijian Indian, and he's been trying to learn my language as I and my parents would prefer that, mainly to pass down my language to my kids. He comes over to my parents' house with me for weekly language lessons with my mom. Although my parents know English, they converse with him mainly, but not all the time, in our native language to help him pick the language up, and expect him to reply back in the same language. The problem is, my family is now very against him and want me to break up with him. They say that he's not family-oriented and doesn't care about anyone or anything. They gave various reasons for this, including him making us wait for 10 minutes the very first time I brought my family over to his place. We waited in the apartment lobby as he was late, and he didn't apologize for his making us wait at all. After this, he's been late to family visits and has made us, me and boyfriend, late to events many times because he showers for too long and generally doesn't manage his time well. It has been annoying and stressful for me to be the one to always nag and keep pushing him to get ready on time. He didn't wish my mom happy Mother's Day and didn't wish my parents a happy anniversary even after he was asked to. Both days my parents were over at our apartment. He wasn't apologetic that he forgot about it either. When my mom asked him, "Where's my wish?" he just grudgingly said, "Happy anniversary." Him not taking the exit that my dad told him to when he was driving our family. My boyfriend agreed to take this certain exit off the motorway but ended up forgetting, I assume, and took another one. Him not greeting my parents and saying, "Hi, how are you?" when he walked into our apartment while my parents were over. He just looked annoyed. Boyfriend said he was tired but that he did say hi, but I'm not too sure whose point of view is right. After boyfriend walked in though, he proceeded to sit quietly in a corner on his phone and not interact with anyone, which my parents found rude. Boyfriend didn't help to set the table for dinner at our apartment, even after my mom said she was hungry and my parents had to do it themselves. I had popped out to the shops at this time, so I didn't know what happened. I can't tell if my family is nitpicking or if this stuff is actually something that should be taken as an indication that my boyfriend isn't a good fit for the future. I don't want to lose my close relationship with my family, but at the same time, I don't want to lose my boyfriend as I have been happy with him. I'm moving out alone soon, have to appease my parents, but also to experience living alone for a while and to see if the issues die down. I guess some of the problems were also caused by us living together and my parents having to see him every time they came to visit me. Well, I think I'm a bit confused by OP's intentions here because not only are they questioning their parents' judgment about whether or not they should essentially get rid of their boyfriend, they're looking to Reddit, looking to their parents to figure out if they are happy or want to end their relationship. I think it just comes down to, are you happy? Are the not so nice things going on too much of a not nice thing for you to keep going? Are they correctable? Are you happy enough? What does OP want here, you know? This next story is mistaking who the real entitled parent was. I was flying home yesterday and encountered an entitled mother in the wild, but then realized the entitled mother was not the biggest problem. So we board our 2-hour delayed flight due to thunderstorms. Shockingly, the plane was not full. Before we can make a move, entitled mother puts a 7 or 8-ish kid in the seat right in front of us, despite being 2 seats back and on the other side. Sigh, fine. Kid's not too bad, but had to have the flight attendant tell them they had to sit up for takeoff. Remember the thunderstorm I mentioned? Turns out the turbulence was bad. We're all waiting for the seatbelt sign to turn off when the kid gets up and goes back to entitled mother about their music stopping. Flight attendant gets on the speaker and pretty ticked off is like, "Get back to your seat." Kid goes back. A few minutes later, entitled mother moves up. I think the flight attendant is just in shock and freak it, this time it's an adult. While entitled mother's fixing kid stuff, a passenger in the row across from the kid gets up and pulls something out of his carry-on. Based on the flirting with the flight attendant, let's call him CP for creepy passenger. Finally, we get through the turbulence and seatbelt sign is turned off. Drink service starts. Poor flight attendant has trouble getting creepy passenger to let her through the service. The kid keeps going back to entitled mother. Entitled mother keeps fixing things and trying to get the kid to nap a little. I understand we did arrive at 11:30 due to delay. Creepy passenger gets to drinking and making inappropriate comments to the flight attendant. We finally arrive and thank the merciful plane gods are able to take the seatbelts off and stand up. We notice creepy passenger grabs his bag before the seatbelt sign is off and rushes to be first in line to get out. Not sure why, it's a tiny airport and no flights until tomorrow morning. Entitled mother rushes past us to get to kid, but to her credit, does tell us to go ahead. We walk to the terminal and are standing at the baggage belt. When entitled mother comes in with the kid, you will never believe it, goes up to creepy passenger and asks, "Where do you think we get our gate check bag?" Creepy passenger is actually entitled dad. I let them know that all the bags will come through the one bag belt. I mean, we do have two, but the other one is for northern flights only, and that anything that doesn't will be shoved through the door we just entered by. I can't stress how small our airport is. They are clearly here to visit someone, as a lady comes in and hugs are exchanged. Kid tries to hug lady and entitled dad immediately cuts in and starts complaining about his bag. So in the end, I feel so bad for the poor kid and think maybe entitled mother was just doing her best. I mean, entitled dad was in the same row the entire time and never acknowledged the poor thing, or even tried to assist them or even act appropriately in front of them. Kid clearly knew the score and didn't even try to ask him. Moral of the story, don't have kids with jerkheads. I mean, to be honest, as much as a nightmare as this family sounds, it sounds like you got off pretty easy and like minimal stuff to complain about. I mean, I certainly feel bad for the flight attendant. They might have more of a story to share than even OP does, but like at least they didn't really bother OP directly. It was more of an observational story of an entitled family. Our next story is, entitled mother takes my inheritance and uses it to bail my brother out. Hoo boy, do I have a good one. I'm set to inherit a good portion of land, as is my entitled brother. The two properties are approximately the same size and have the same valuation. Entitled mother decided that it would be beneficial to everyone to go ahead and give us the properties so we could buy a home or whatever in order to get around inheritance taxes and probate when she eventually passes. Well, I decided to list mine with a real estate agent in September of last year, trusting my mother to do the right thing. I didn't ask her to go ahead and deed everything over, I just asked her to sign the paperwork, and I was going to handle everything else. Here's what happened. My entitled brother lives in jail. Not literally, but he's there enough that all the detention officers know him well. He can't leave the house without being charged with a felony, all of which are valid charges. See, he's an unrepentant H&F jerk and does not care about anything else. There's a long list of all the truly screwed up things he's done, none of which I feel like rehashing, but rest assured that all of the charges are born of a fatal combination of arrogance and stupidity. Entitled mother continues to enable him. To her, my children are just the same in my eyes. We're not, to clarify. Well, after we listed the property, he got in trouble again for what feels like the 457th time. What does she do because sweet baby boy can't possibly spend more time in jail? She signs a bond with the county. Because what bail bondsman would touch him? None, that's how many. Using all of her properties, including what's supposed to go to me and her own personal home. She never told me any of this, so here I go bebopping into what looks like a good future, never knowing that I'm engaging in criminal activity, thinking that I'm going to buy my own house. The land sold. We're under contract with the buyer. My family's working on what we assume to be our new house. She even helped clean it out, all the while knowing all of this. Closing time comes, the lawyer runs a title check one more time, and what does he find? The bond. I'm not gonna lie, it certainly sucks finding out what you know was going to be your inheritance was taken early and used for something as dumb as bailing a repeat offender out of jail. But I would just say it wasn't exactly OP's inheritance quite yet, That said, it was incredibly messed up to allow OP to get that far. I mean, OP was preparing their future and everything was lined up, and then finding out at the very last second, actually no, that was used as collateral for your brother's bail bond quite a while ago. Definitely a situation where some people would just end the relationship with their own mother. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another absolutely crazy entitled parent story, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.